The challenges for the Texans lies within the tackles. Can this offensive line hold up against the Seattle Seahawks interior defensive line next Monday night? That and more on today's Locked On Texans.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, from H-Town to your town, the 713, the 281, the 832, the 346, all the way to the 212, the 213. Don't matter where you are from H-Town to your town. Today's episode of the Locked On Texan Fans is for Texan fans all around, especially my guys in the 409. Every day is from the Himalayas. You guys know I appreciate you for listening to the Locked On Texan podcast. And for my newcomers of the show, sit down, relax, or if you're driving, relax while you drive. Keep your eyes open and listen to your Texans Credential Media member, Texans football analyst, also columnist for Forward Times out here in the Houston Texans, John Hickman. Today's episode, listen, we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to end off the show looking at the YouTube comments. Y'all have been chattering all up in the YouTube comments. So what's been on your mind? We'll dive into that. But this ain't your Uncle Sam Darnold, Texan fans. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I'm scared for Houston coming into this game. I think Sam Darnold has been playing elite football at the quarterback position. So we'll dive into that conversation. And also just an early look at the challenges ahead for the Houston Texans. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, the challenges Houston faces going up against the Seattle defense. Let me tell y'all something, man. This is a scary game for Houston. And I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say a little bit earlier than expected because I'll dive into it more on the second segment, so stick around. Yeah, they're going to need C.J. Stroud to be elite. They're going to need C.J. Stroud to go band for Sam Darnold. The Seattle Seahawks defense is sending 4 or fewer pass rushers on an impressive 84% of dropbacks, resulting in a very problematic 37% QB pressure rate on those plays, ranking 4th in the league. Additionally, they lead the NFL with a dominating defensive line stunt rate of 36.3%. And we know that the Houston Texans have had issues picking up stunts dating back to 2024. Seattle defense has 20 sacks, only allowing 79 rushing yards per game, plus 3.3 yards per carry. I mean, these guys are getting after the quarterback. They're stopping the run game. They're containing everything. The silver lining for Houston is Seattle is allowing 240 passing yards per game and 10 passing TDs on the season. Like, I got to find a silver lining, and I think that could be it for Houston. But you look at the defensive tackle unit for the Seattle Seahawks, Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, they combine for 7.5 sacks on the year. Byron Murphy, I think, as of right now, top 5 in the NFL, top 5 in the NFL in sacks through 6 weeks. Mike McDaniel has this team coached extremely well. They do not commit a ton of penalties at a high level, and they know how to get after the quarterback and contain the run. 3.3 sacks per game. Houston's interior offensive line will have its toughest time probably of the season to date. And I know Houston went up against L.A., and I know Houston went up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers led by Vita Vea on the inside. I get that. I completely understand it. But the offensive line strength right now, I think, has been the interior offensive line, considering, we saw Ariante Ursary go up against Josh Hines Allen, and he took his lunch money. The young man had a lot to learn, and he had to learn on the fly. And sometimes learning on the fly just doesn't bode well for the performance, right? But this unit that the Houston Texans interior offensive line is about to face, one of the best in the NFL, bar none. You can make a case. D-tackle units in the NFL, along with my boy Jordan Reed, that may be a top 3 defensive tackle unit in the NFL. This is a game, guys, where Houston is absolutely going to need Jake Andrews to be at his peak. Ed Ingram, who's one of the better rated PFF guards in the NFL, to be what the numbers say he's been for Houston. And that is, I don't want to use the word elite, but a damn good guard for the Houston Texans. Juice Scruggs is going to have to be, let me tell you this, Juice Scruggs' game should be good enough to where we don't consider maybe they need to put Laken Tomlinson back out on the field. And that's just the facts. And so I think this is a tough matchup for the Houston Texans that it's going to be hard for me to pick Houston over Seattle right now. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This show is all about honesty. Nick Kelly and Cole Popovich, I'm sure, have been game planning and maybe even losing sleep on how to stop those guys in the middle. What they do on the inside dictates how the linebackers are successful and also the DNs, the edge rushers, DeMarcus Lawrence out there, who's going to give, whether it's hopefully he's lined up over Titus Howard, because Titus Howard, I think, will be able to do a good job of shutting him down. Titus Howard, when he plays the elites of the elites, he normally answers the call. So hopefully we can get that matchup on Titus Howard. But I'm sure Seattle, Mike McDaniel, and that defense, they're going to find a way to get Lawrence over Ursary. And Ursary's had 2 weeks off by the time that they would have played. And so, he's been ascending last 2 games against some teams that are not favorable in the NFL. But hopefully that confidence is there. So if he does match up against Lawrence or whoever at the edge position, he's able to hold his own. You don't want Ursary to also be a part of the weak link conversation against Seattle. He needs to play some good football for Houston. Howard needs to play good football for Houston. And I think because of that, they are going to have to be the guys that we should see set the tone for the run game. So, of course, I think we'll see Houston deploy more bodies around the line of scrimmage to help with protection and also add extra bodies to get the run game going. If we look at players that might have had an underrated role in having a successful day for Houston, Houston has already started to show their game plan for that extra boost with Blake Fisher getting 32 snaps in Houston's last game. So they're going to need Blake Fisher out there to play that quote-unquote inline tight end role, but essentially he's just an additional offensive lineman out there that the Houston Texans can trust to give themselves some additional bodies to protect quarterback C.J. Stroud, but more so, and I think this is very important, more so to get some type of assistance out on the edge so we can see Nick Chubb and Woody Marks have a successful day. And I think that Houston does want to lean on that run a little bit because, hey, leaning on that run, that opened up the play action game for the offense. Plus, I think Houston is going to be able to, like I said, they're going to have to be special on play action passes to give themselves a chance to get some of those guys out on the edge defensively against that front seven for Seattle and some of those playmakers in space to get busy and create yak yards. I know Houston determines the opposing team I know Houston looks at the opposing defense and the team that they're playing, that they're taking on to determine the game plan at running back. But this is a game where I personally think should be set up for Woody Marks because of his pass catching ability. I think that could be a huge reason why Houston can stay in this game, especially taking what's underneath, his speed, his ability, which is also underrated, his ability and his IIQ to hit the edge. And so a lot of times you'll see him with those angles pick up additional yards. And so I think that Houston will find ways to not force the ball to Woody Marks. Again, on the year, I think Woody Marks is averaging 3.8 on the ground, but in the air, he's averaging over 10 yards per catch. Houston will need that. And you also look at the all-hands-on-deck approach. Up next, I never thought I'd say this, but Houston has to prepare for Sam Darnold, who has been playing elite football. So stick around for more on the Locked On Texans podcast. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, because you need a place to stay, right? If you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. In this economy, we need all we can get. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that you can redeem toward hundreds of hotels, airlines, and future rent payments, your next Lyft ride, and more. But Built isn't just about rent. No. It's about rewarding yourself around your entire neighborhood. I love that with Built, your rent finally works for you. You're earning points every month on something you already have to pay. Who don't love that? Like, you already have the obligation to do it. Why not pay yourself? Build has made every day feel more rewarding, from your neighborhood to your travel plans. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedon NFL. That's joinbuilt, joinbilt.com/lockedon NFL. Make sure that you use the link so they know we sent you. Plus, guys, you look at the benefits that Built gives you. How about the benefits that Rugiet gives you to go long? What do you do when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? What do? You sit back, you take a look at that picture, and you say, wow, now that's confidence, pure confidence. And if you're looking for something beyond the usual appeal, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. Rugiet Go Long comes in and play for you whenever you need it, and it acts fast. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. Can I hit it in the morning? Yeah. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor online, 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Ready to level up with your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That is Rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Make sure you use our code so they know we sent you. Again, visit Rugiet.com for 15% off your first order. Battle Red Nation, let's swarm together as we are just almost a little under a week away from the Monday night game for the Houston Texans. Lumen Field, 12th man. The Seattle Seahawks have all of the advantages in the world, but another advantage that 8 years ago I didn't think that I'd be saying this. I didn't. This ain't your Uncle Sam Darnold. It's not. Like, Sam Darnold has been elite in the NFL. He's going to be a problem for the Houston Texans. Sam Darnold right now ranks first in EPA per play, first in big time throw rate, first in average depth of target, first in yards per attempt, first in explosive pass rate, second in success rate, third in passer rating, third in QBR. Again, this ain't I'm seeing go Sam Darnold. This version of Sam Darnold, and again, I never thought I'd say this, but this version of Darnold is playing elite quarterback play, and there isn't 10 quarterbacks playing the position better than Darnold right now. When Houston has played elite quarterbacks this year, Stafford, Baker. We know right now, we look at Baker Mayfield across the league. I think I'm okay with saying, and everybody else should, right now, week 6, he is the MVP. Matthew Stafford is Matthew Stafford. They have allowed a combined 3 touchdowns and an average of 230 passing yards. In those 2 games, they've only allowed 17 points combined in those 2 games. However, when I look at the challenges ahead for the Houston Texans against Seattle, this is the time where Houston will absolutely need quarterback CJ Stroud to be the man. They are going to need CJ Stroud to be elite. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying they need CJ Stroud to go out there and toss 5 tuds. I'm not saying that. It'd be nice. It'd be great if CJ Stroud goes out there and tosses 5 touchdowns. Because when I look on the other side of the football at everything this year, and I'm trying to find a chink in the armor, but at everything this year, Sam Darnold has been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And throughout the week, I'll definitely talk about Jackson Smith and the Jigma, who's playing better football at wide receiver than him right now. Nobody. So he's a problem. He's a threat. Sam Darnold knows that, and Sam Darnold has done a damn good job of making sure that he gets those targets, and he's getting those targets in advantageous spots on the field so he's able to turn up. So that's a threat all on itself. But when you look at where Sam Darnold is right now and the weapons around him, along with that stout defense, he's in a situation somewhat like C.J. Stroud. The thing is, he's coming into a situation with an already established OC. Stroud did not, which is why Houston started the year off 0-3, and we can make the case that they should be 4-2. No, I'm sorry, 4-1. All right, or 3-2, however you want to look at it. But 3-2, excuse me. But for Houston, they're going to need CJ to be able to keep up and scoring points, man. Seattle is going to score points. No doubt about it. Seattle's defense this year has taken the ball away, not necessarily in turnovers, but they are getting teams out of the field. Teams are not able to run on them. Teams are not necessarily scoring a lot of touchdowns on them. And the offense has had a ample amount of time with the ball in their hand, and Sam Darnold has been perfect with it. So not only am I looking at C.J. Stroud to be elite, but okay, we love pressure rates. We love the pressure rate. We love that percentage. We love that number. We love that stat, that advanced stat. We love all of that. But the one stat that really matters, ultimately that matters in the NFL for a defensive lineman, sacks and tackles for loss. The pressure rates are great, amazing, right? But with all of the pressure that Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter is causing, Houston only has 12 sacks on the year. You got the Broncos with 30. Seattle has 20. Houston is at 12. And I want to say both Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are maybe top 6 in the NFL in terms of pressure win rate. Those guys have to get home before, honestly, and I want to apologize to all my CJ Stroud fans. I'm one of them. I probably should have led with that. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson have to get home. They have to live in the backfield. They have to. Now, what plays into their favor? Okay, well, you're not going up against a Baker Mayfield who will break out of the pocket. Baker will later hit on a player just so he can break out of the pocket. You're not going up against that type of player, that type of quarterback. That's not Sam Darnold. That's not Darnold. Like he can do that, but that's not necessarily instinctually his game, right? So containing Darnold, winning on the edge, and one thing again that they've done a very good job of this year, when those players, those edge rushers, when they win out there, they flush everything back on the inside. Where now, if Darnold has to step up in the pocket and maybe make a play, you have Aziz, you have Henry, you have EJ Speed, but you also have those two defensive tackles who's out there on the field. That bunch, as I talked about on Monday's show, has done a good job. They should be able to eat, right? But start offensive line, this is where your best players have to come out. And Danielle Anderson, not the Go-Tinks. I didn't mean to combine them. But Danielle Hunter, who just got that extreme contract extension for another year, he is one of your best players. Will Anderson is one of your best players. They have to be elite in not only causing disruption on some of those throws, because Sam Darnold has shown you that, hey, listen, I can still make the throw. They have to bring him down, guys. This ain't the week. Let me clean it up. This is not the week where Houston can afford missed tackles. They just can't do it. And again, a little bit more silver lining Sam Darnold on the year. When he is blitzed, he has thrown 3 interceptions. When he's under pressure, he's thrown 2 interceptions. So again, guys up front got to be where they need to be. And we really can't stress enough, and I want to hold this out for another time this week, how important it is for Derek Stingley to be at his best. At his best. Kamar Lassiter as well. The matchups at corner versus their receivers will be extremely important. The defense has to be at their best, but we know that this defense is built from front to back. And in order for the Houston Texans to wipe the Seahawks out of this game, the driving forces up front has to be able to get Sam Darnold on the ground. He's got to feel that turf. He has got to feel that turf. If not, and if that offensive line for Seattle, which has been extremely good, if they can continue to hold up, then you're looking at a long day for the Houston Texans. You're looking at giving Sam Darnold a time back there for him to get busy, to get active, and pick and choose his spots. I will say Arizona was able to get to him 3 times for 3 sacks with a pressure rate of 30 against Arizona in week 4. 1 sack against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 0 against Tampa Bay. In order for Houston to have a shot in this game, they have to get 3 or more sacks in that game. Now, on the opposite side, what y'all been talking about, we'll dive into some YouTube comments before we close out today's show. The games Monday night will be extremely exciting. You guys should be at home, settled in. Kids need to be where they need to be, right? You have your beer ready, have everything that you need. And also you need to make sure that you are confident and prepared and ready to go on that parlay with FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300. Monday night, the action will be there, Texas fans. You need to make sure that you're seated, you have your beer ready, the kids are where they need to be, and that you also have your parlay ready to go with FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel gives you so many different ways to play, different ways to build parlays, different ways to build player props, and even follow live lines during the games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So don't sit around and wait. Visit FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app today to get started. Again, visit FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app to get started today. Welcome back, Texan fans. We're going to close out the show listening and hearing from you guys. Before I do that, let me just say this, guys. I look at this Seattle team. Like when I look at around the league at teams Houston has to play, I look at San Fran, they're breaking down. And I think that D'Amico's defense is so good that they'll make Mac Jones' day tough for him to be successful. I really do. I look at Denver, and again on Monday's show, I talked about, hey, I don't believe in Bo Nix. Not to be disrespectful or anything like that, but I think that he's going through his own sophomore slump, and because of his limitations as a quarterback, I wonder how far he'd be able to take it. Right. Other teams, the Titans just fired their coach, right? Woo-hoo. I respect the coach, so I can't talk bad about them. Houston plays Arizona. I think that they get that dub over Arizona. But there are a lot of teams right now that may be in better positions that I think by the time Houston plays them, Houston should be able to go ahead and take care of them. Seattle ain't one of them teams, y'all. Seattle is a very good team, top to bottom. all three phases of the game. Again, they don't commit a lot of penalties. The quarterback plays at an extremely high level right now. The wide receiver play from JNS is at the highest in the NFL. They don't necessarily have a great rushing attack, but when you have an offense as potent as it is, they find ways to score points, guys. So I am really scared for Houston this game. But my man Scott Borg at 3308, the last time the Texans started 0-3 in 2018, they reeled off 9 wins in a row. Get past Seattle and San Fran, this likelihood looks more than possible. Still a lot of parity in the NFL. The margin between dubs and L's very thin on many teams. If the Texans maintain this complimentary football look, the Texans may be back in the penthouse faster than many think. The trend is definitely the Texans' friend as of late. I'm glad he pointed out getting past Seattle and San Fran because that is extremely important. Houston, again, they control their own destiny, guys. I think that what they've done to themselves, the hole that they dug themselves in, that's hard for any team. Any team. And I'm going to tell you what plays in their favor that we really hadn't really discussed. 17 games and not 16 games. And also the early bye week, week 9, you get into the trade deadline phase. If they get past a couple of these teams, you look around the NFL, that's been a talking point on the Locked On Texans squad show. How do they feel about Breece Hall, the playmaker out of the backfield? Maybe Tennessee is looking to move on from some people. How do they feel about Chegg, the tight end over there, right? I know that's an in-division team, and do we trust Tennessee to even make a move with the Houston Texans because of their color beef? Probably not, right? But for a team that's going to get a new not offensive coordinator, but a new head coach soon, they may want to stack up on assets for the draft. So maybe that's something to look into, but I think that's really why it's important for Houston to, quote-unquote, get past Seattle and San Fran. Both teams will be very difficult to get past. Seattle's the toughest team. I think Houston's going to play on this stretch. But if they can do it, that sets Houston up to really reel off a run to where they can get that 7th wild card spot and still put themselves in a position to win the AFC South, which I think as of right now is extremely difficult for Houston to do. And also, this was on the squad show. This is from my man J Pert 5916. Bringing in Breece Hall will cost us against the salary cap next year. We still got to pay CJ and Will Anderson. Nick Caserio really dropped the ball, wasting money for the next few years. I kind of want to address that. I wholeheartedly agree. And I think that when you look at some of Houston's struggles coming into 2025, that some of those struggles would have been alleviated if Houston still would have had Stephon Diggs here on this roster. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Stephon Diggs is one of those guys where it doesn't matter the environment, doesn't necessarily matter the offensive coordinator. And one thing that we really haven't given credit to Stephon Diggs the last couple of seasons is how much he's been a leader in the locker room for young quarterbacks. Did it in Houston in 2024. He's doing it right now for Drake May in 2025. And so I wholeheartedly agree. That puts Houston in the position to have to consistently find another weapon for quarterback CJ Stroud. And none of those weapons outside of Nico Collins and Tank Dell brings what Stephon Diggs brings to the game. So I agree with that. I agree with that. And I think that when it comes time to renewing or looking at bringing back Nick Caserio, that has to be a talking point. The amount of dead money Houston owes, the amount of people no longer in this building off 16 and Kirby that is still getting paid, that costs the owners money. And I think that is an issue for Houston moving faster. My man, TJ the Kid live. The bye week can't end any faster. We're talking about 4-mans. Hey, man, I'm sorry. I thought that was a good reference on on the Did DeMeco Ryans Biggest Decision Unlock the Texans Offense podcast. But I one of the comments that I really did like, Dwayne Carter 7954. You are right. Woody Marks is a good player, and he doesn't have to be a superstar to play big, to have a big role with the Texans. Like Isaiah Pacheco, who isn't a superstar but a good player, all Marks has to do is move the chains, and that's what he did at USC. Also, going back to Mississippi as well. I'm glad that my man Dwayne Carter. Shout out to Weezy. But I'm glad you mentioned that, because when I said that, some people were like, what do you mean? What do you mean? A 53-man roster ain't going to have 53 superstars. They were stars in college. They were probably superstars in high school. But when you get to the pro level, everybody has a job to do. And when you find players that are really good, and I'm talking about really, really good at their job, then you're looking at a roster that is flexible and dynamic, and it's hard to take away elements of the game when you have multiple guys that can do one thing in a unit. So when I said he doesn't have to be a superstar, I don't think he's going to be a Pro Bowl in his career or an All-Pro. That's not a shot at Woody Marks. Not at all. What I'm saying is the expectation for Woody Marks shouldn't be that. It should be what he does well needs to be amplified so Houston doesn't have to keep this rinse, wash, and repeat type of style about finding running backs, but also so Houston can keep the chains moving and have a dynamic player in their backfield. Thank you for watching and listening to today's episode. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, Texas fans across the nation, from the 713 to the 409 to the 337 to across the nation. Peace.